A term that the president has made really popular, fake news. The spread of misinformation, especially on social media, has reduced the public's trust in the media and created a problem for journalists. We asked attendees at the National Association of Black Journalists convention about fake news and restoring that trust in the media.
I think they trust us and hate us at the same time. I think with Trump, those who support him will believe the negative, but I think those who actually believe in the checks and balances of the press love us. We still would not be in business if they didn't love us. We still would not be in business if things didn't happen that need to be covered that everybody wanted to know.
You kind of question everything that you're told anyway. Maybe not what you're told, but what you read and what you see. And the fact that everything is so fragmented and segmented in terms of what we consume, we're always going to look toward or believe in things that we've already believed in or confirm our own ideals already.
Have they lost trust in the media? You know, that's a question. You know, we could be asking ourselves, if we're doing the best job that we can possibly do every day, then I think all things will fall into place, because without news, there's no Twitter, there's no Facebook, there's no Instagram. You have to get your information from someplace.
All right, so we have a lot of thoughts, of course, about fake news and the way it's affecting media and journalists. I want to try to connect it just a little with what we were just talking about with Omarosa and Donald Trump. And you mentioned The Apprentice, which is where the two of them met, and a show that ran for a really long time. I feel like that, in some ways, was fake news, right? The Apprentice created a Donald Trump who we thought of, if that's all you saw, was on that show, you thought of as a competent decision maker, a really steely business person, and it turns out that was all probably quite scripted. Omarosa also shows up on that show as a very sane, ambitious. Well, you didn't think she was
she's playing a role. She's played the same character exactly
right,
that she's playing now.
But it turns out that the competency that was attached to her in that show, we haven't seen it.
This is called reality TV versus real world.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate issues with this fake news concept is that now people are saying, well, it's after reality TV, folks go home.
Yeah. Now
we have a president who's running the country.
Right.
And I think the media is saying we simply want questions. Now, I know that the media can be on, they can be against you or they can be for you.
Yeah.
But I think the media has some serious questions to say, do we have a president that is capable of running this nation?
Yeah.
And that's a legitimate question.
But when he trots out that phrase, fake news, it's almost as if it cuts the legs out from under any legitimate story with some folks.
Well,
right?
this is not the first time that we've heard someone shout fake news. And generally speaking, whenever a politician gets in trouble and not getting the kind of press that they want, they tell their people not to watch the news, don't trust the media, and that kind of thing.
Right.
But we're on the American Black Journal. I think it's important to talk about at least this particular subject from a black perspective, because we're not unfamiliar to having a hard time trusting the media.
That's right.
Whether it was through the Jim Crow years or up through the 70s and the 80s, up through now, where you talk about the image of African Americans in the media and the way they're covered in the crime stories. So if there's anybody that has a reason to scream fake news,
black people.
It's black folks. But at the same time, I think that. And I'm a proud graduate of the Wayne State program that you are head of, so I can speak with some knowledge of this. But I think at the same time, we have come to rely on the media to help us ferret out stuff and to get our story out in ways. And so, it's interesting that some of these folks are coming to this whole fake news conversation. I think Johnny come lately. We've been through it. We know what it looks like.
The thing is, half of the people that rely now, they're not relying on real news.
That's true.
They're relying
There is
on,
a lot of stuff out
they're
there.
relying on, there's just a lot of stuff that's fake. But anybody that gets up in the morning and that they believe that they're getting the truth from Breitbart, somebody needs to have a talk with you.
Right.
Yeah,
And the truth
that's new
is,
information.
The truth is there are people that believe that the Fox network actually provides real news to you. It's supposed to be fair and balanced, and it's not.
Right.
As long as we've let things slip to that point, we're going to have to wake those people up and say, you can still trust the media. We will answer all of your questions. We're still there for you. And then you've also, unfortunately now, got to convince people that, not to attack reporters, that the reporters are doing their job. Don't shout and scream at them and throw stuff at them, that they are not the enemy.
Well, let me say this, like I said, this one more thing, though, because I've sat down with publishers, and I'll leave the publisher unnamed now for one of the big dailies here, and they explain that they're not a newspaper anymore, they're an entertainment platform.
Oh my goodness.
And the idea that somehow you can.
But one element of that platform is journalism, pure journalism. Because I talk to those people every day, all day long. I would be remiss to sit here and let that go.
But they say that.
But the one platform, that's like saying I own the Pistons and the Red Wings. We don't bring hockey sticks out onto the basketball court. So they might be an entertainment entity, but one platform of that entertainment entity is news.
And the most important
journalism,
right?
without a doubt. Because people get upset with lawyers and journalists, but the first time something goes wrong with in your life, that's the first two people you call, a lawyer and then a journalist, or vice versa. And I also want to say
that, but they don't look at it from that perspective.
I don't use the term fake news because it's either fake
or it's news.
A fake narrative. And I think we have to stop using the term. We have let him co-opt, and these are playbooks right out of Goebbels and Hitler. Really, they are.
They are.
And that's not overstating it.
Yeah.
Well, Trump hasn't come up with an original idea yet. So the concept of fake news is not something new. He's just got a bigger mouth and a bigger platform to scream from. And this is what I'm saying. We have seen the media industry pull back from their commitments to diversity, pull back from their commitments to investigative reporting. Do you know that in metropolitan Detroit, there is not one African American working in the research, the investigative team in TV or print?
It's true right now.
Cassidy Pratt Dawsey.
She works for Bridge Magazine.
But you said in this market.
That's right.
Because and that actually brings me to what I really want to say. At some point, we have to quit talking about who's going to hire us. And Tyler Perry, of all things, was one of the best speakers at NABJ. Shocked me. Build our own. At this day and age, with equipment, and we're no longer looking at limited sources for broadcast licenses. We've overcome a lot of this stuff. It is ridiculous that we're still talking about who's going to tell our story.
Well, you know what? That's easy to say when you're like a multimillionaire approaching a billionaire.
No,
just go ahead and do it yourself.
Have you ever slept in your car?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you ever slept in your car?
Have I ever slept in my car?
And I'm not here to take off Tyler Perry.
This ain't about me.
No,
She's telling the story of how she started.
But you know what, Tyler Perry?
Trying to help you out with Tyler Perry.
We're not going to help out Tyler Perry. We know that Tyler Perry is slept in his car. We've heard his story. But there have been lots of other people who have slept in their car who don't have a Tyler Perry platform.
When he says build your own, I'll listen to him.
I do think the idea of us trying to tell our own story is really important going forward.
He didn't make it by himself.
Of course, we could all sit here for 3 hours arguing. We would solve nothing, but we would have a great time doing it, right? I'm really glad you guys were here. Thanks very much.